Hello and welcome to your daily stretches. Yes, I am in my pyjamas. It feels like a pyjama day. Today we are going to be talking about transitions. So specifically from when you are transitioning from a downward dog into a lunge or a lunge back into a downward dog. Now there's lots of flows that you might do when you go to class or online or anything where they say, gracefully bring your leg into a forward lunge, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's not me. It's not going to be graceful, and actually I find it quite difficult. So we're going to be using our blocks or your favourite cookbooks, etc., to help us get into our downward dog or get into our lunge. So first of all, I'm going to show you what you probably see on the videos. So we're going to come into our downward dog. So we're going to be spreading into the hands, tuck the toes under and moving the pelvis up towards the ceiling. So I've got my feet about hip distance apart, and then the teacher will say, lift the right leg up, pushing into the heel, and then swing that leg forwards into a runner's lunge, which is great if you've got the flexibility in your hip flexors and in your down the legs. But some of us don't have that flexibility, and some of us are working towards that. And then they'll be like, and then just take your foot back into a downward dog. Now the reason why sometimes we don't have enough space is one, because of that flexibility, but also if you've got really short arms compared to your body, and that's just the way that God or whoever made you, then you're always going to struggle with that. So the first thing I often say to my students is, if that isn't available to you, because when you bring your foot forward, this is how flexible you are, and then they say, oh, just yank your foot forwards. And here it might be, I've got quite short arms, so I can feel that my knee is pressing into my armpit here. It's not particularly comfortable, and it doesn't always mean that I can get my hands flat down on the floor. So one thing that you can do is you can bring the leg, instead of coming in between the hands, just bring it to the outside of the hands, and then you've got a bit more room for your body, and then you can heel toe that foot back in if you want to. And then if you do want to then come into your lunge, you can then use the blocks to bring your foot all the way in, or you can even just leave the foot on the outside so that you have more room. So that's one way. Now, the second thing is that you can just start off in your downward dog, giving yourself a little bit more room. So I'm quite short, so actually doing a downward dog on blocks can feel really nice, because I can get that stretch all the way through the shoulders and through the back. And then from here, you've already got loads more space to bring the foot all the way up, or you can come all the way round. And then your blocks are already here for if you're doing anything in your lunge position where you want to just bring the floor a little bit closer to you. And then from here, you can always transition back into your downward dog through a box. So you can bring the knees back down to the floor before you push up into your downward dog, rather than just taking the leg straight from there and pushing all the way back. Now obviously it's your choice how you move through into those positions, but the transition is just as important as being in the pose, and that's often where people get a lot of their injuries, because they're not really focused in those moments, and it means that they are doing crazy things with their body. So I advise you, even if you are really able and flexible to transition, to just take your blocks and have a little play and just see how different it feels. And it might mean that you just get to a little bit more mobility and movement as you're moving in and out of the poses. So just to recap, you can start with your blocks and push up into your downward dog. Setting your downward dog up, pushing the chest backwards, bringing the left leg forwards to the outside, maybe putting the knee down, coming back through box and pushing all the way up, back to your downward dog. Or you can even come to the middle for a runner's lunge, and then you've got a bit more space because the floor is a little bit closer to you, and then you can push straight back into your downward dog. So just see how you feel, have a little play, and be as graceful as you want to be, rather than being told, you know, take your leg halfway up and then just drag it the rest of the way. So you've got a few options there, and then later on in the week I'm going to do a little flow, and it's going to incorporate using the blocks throughout your class to make those transitions nice and easy. So I hope that helps you out, and I might see you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.